Hi, Black Cat Recapped here. Today I am going to explain a comedy movie named Just Friends. In 1995, we meet a boy named Chris who is quite overweight. He's in his last year of high school and has strong feelings for his best friend, Jaime, who is very attractive. In this scene, we find Chris in the girls' restroom. He has managed to get Jaime's yearbook and is writing a love letter to her, telling her how much he loves her. Afterward, he hops on his bicycle and heads to the graduation party. He expects it to be a small gathering with just a few friends, but when he arrives at the house, he's surprised to find it packed with his schoolmates, who are also graduating. Chris really wants to see Jaime and sees her dancing like crazy at the party. She looks beautiful when she notices him and quickly grabs his arm to take him upstairs to a bedroom. They sit on a bench together, and Chris is a little nervous. He finally finds the courage to tell her what he wrote in her yearbook. They get interrupted by Tim, who used to date Chris. Jaime kicks Tim out of the room, and Chris starts reading his confession to Jaime from the yearbook. However, he realizes that Tim has taken Jaime's yearbook with his confession inside. Chris rushes downstairs, but it's too late. Tim is reading Chris's confession out loud to everyone at the party, and they're all laughing. Jaime follows Chris outside and finds everyone making fun of him. Chris is upset and tells them that he's going to achieve something great one day, and he'll prove it to everyone. The story moves ahead 10 years. Chris, who used to be a ladies' man and has lost weight, now lives in Los Angeles. He's doing really well as a record producer and is also the vice president of the company where he works. He's called in by his boss, Casey, who is the CEO of the company, asks Chris to go with a self-absorbed pop singer named Samantha James to Paris. They want her to sign with their company. Chris reluctantly agrees to go. He's not thrilled about it because he has a history with Samantha. They once went on a date, and it didn't end well. Chris even ended up in the hospital after that date. When Chris goes to see Samantha, she's singing and dancing. But when she spots him, she starts making suggestive moves and rushes over to hug and kiss him. She tries to get intimate with him right there on the couch, but Chris makes it clear that he's not interested because he thinks she's crazy. Later that night, they get on a private jet. Samantha starts playing her guitar for Chris, but he's not in the mood to listen. Samantha is not good at sitting still, and on the plane, she accidentally starts a fire. They have to make an emergency landing in New Jersey, which is near Chris's hometown. They wait for the jet to be fixed, but they're told it won't be ready until tomorrow. So, Chris has no choice but to take Samantha to his mother's house. His mom is overjoyed to see him, and she's so excited that she first screams and then cries because Chris hasn't been home in 10 years. Chris goes into his old room, which brings back memories of his school days and his crush on Jaime. He looks at some old pictures and realizes he still has feelings for Jaime. He spends time with his mom, who can't believe he's actually there. They're joined by his teenage brother, Mike, who is surprised to see Samantha in the house. He sits close to her and tells her he's a big fan and even has a poster of her in his room. After that, Chris takes Samantha out for the night. While they're at the market, he bumps into his old friends, Clark and Darla, who are now married. They're surprised to see how much Chris has changed and how good-looking he is now. As Chris continues walking, he runs into the guy who used to bully him in school. This guy's life has taken a bad turn, and he's struggling with alcoholism. Chris then goes to a bar and is amazed to find Jaime working as a bartender. When she sees Chris, she tries to hide, but he approaches her, and they share a heartfelt hug. Jaime is shocked by how much Chris has transformed. He tells her he's only in town for one night, and will leave early the next day. They say their goodbyes, but as Chris walks away, he decides to ask Jaime out on a date. He explains that his flight might be delayed, giving him more time. However, Samantha is eager to leave. Chris then convinces Samantha to go to the local mall and meet her fans because she has many in town. She reluctantly agrees after Chris persuades her, and his brother, Mike, drives her to the mall. Now, Chris gets ready for his big date with Jaime. He rents a fancy sports car and picks up Jaime. Chris and Jaime go to an old cafe where they used to hang out when they were teenagers. They have a nice time together. When Chris drops her off at her place, he tries to kiss her, but it's not a good idea because Jaime wants something different and just hugs him. It becomes an awkward moment between them. Jaime forgets something in Chris's car and goes back to get it. She's weirded out when she sees Chris acting crazy in his car. He's mad at himself because he knows he messed things up with Jaime by trying to be cocky. Chris drives home feeling down. He eventually gathers the courage to call her again and asks her out on another date. They decide to go ice skating together. While they're ice skating, they bump into some of Jaime's students who invite Chris to play ice hockey with them. He's not good at it, and the other boys on the team handle him easily. They get annoyed with Chris for being so bad, and he gets upset. In the next round, he becomes overly aggressive and ends up injuring himself. A paramedic carries Jaime in his arms, and it's revealed that he has had a crush on her for a long time and wants to get closer to her. Chris is badly hurt, and they take him to the hospital in an ambulance. During the ride, Dusty, who is sitting with Jaime and Chris, keeps hitting on Jaime, and Chris wants to say something but can't because he's wearing an oxygen mask. At the hospital, Chris gets treated for his injury. When he returns home, he's surprised to see his brother, Mike, giving a massage to Samantha. Mike seems to be enjoying it more than Samantha, and Chris is worried that his brother might have other intentions. He tells Mike to stop, and Samantha gets annoyed because she was enjoying the massage. That night, Chris calls Jaime again and asks her if she'd like to watch a movie with him, and she agrees. However, she brings Dusty along with her. Chris is really mad because Dusty not only wants to be close to Jaime, but is also very irritating. Dusty is so annoying that he even invites Chris's mother to watch a movie with them. They all go to the movie theater together, and Chris is very upset. However, Dusty gets a call from the hospital and rushes there, leaving Chris and Jaime alone. They spend a lot of time together and talk about the days when they were best friends in high school. It's Christmas Eve, and there's a party at Jaime's place that Chris wants to attend. Samantha is really irritated because they've been stuck together for days. Chris decides he's going to tell Jaime how he feels once again at the party. He asks his brother Mike to keep Samantha occupied. Chris instructs Mike not to let Samantha know where he is. However, Samantha isn't really asleep. She has heard everything. Chris is upset when he goes to his car because Mike left the window open, and it's covered in snow. He has no option but to ride a bicycle. When he finally arrives at Jaime's place, he's prepared to tell her that he still has feelings for her. But he's frustrated when he sees Dusty there. Dusty has brought a lot of people together, and is impressing them with his guitar skills. Mike is in his room when Samantha surprises him from behind. She grabs him and pushes him against the wall. She wants to know where his brother is, but Mike refuses to tell her anything, so she starts touching him in an intimate way. The young boy finds it enjoyable. He loses control when she kisses him, and he ends up revealing his brother's location to her. Samantha has had enough at this point. She drives to Jaime's place in a fit of anger, crashing through her friends and causing damage to the Christmas decorations. Chris comes back home feeling embarrassed, and Jaime follows him. She reassures him that she's not angry, and they spend the night catching up and reminiscing. However, because Chris still lacks the confidence to make a move, they end up just sleeping, and nothing romantic occurs. The following day, Jaime talks to Darla about what happened the night before. Meanwhile, Chris seeks advice from Clark. Jaime admits that even though they're just friends, she tried to show Chris that she's interested in something more. Clark tells Chris that the timing wasn't right, and their shared history is holding them back. Outside of work, Chris and Clark witness Dusty singing to a nurse and then kissing her. Dusty reveals his plans to be intimate with Jaime and humiliate her, as he felt she humiliated him in high school when he had a crush on her. Chris tries to warn Jaime but ends up confronting Dusty in front of her. She refuses to listen when he tries to explain, which leads him to get drunk and go to Jaime's bar. He finds her there with Dusty, and when Dusty makes inappropriate advances, Chris storms out. Chris and Jaime have another argument where he blames her for keeping him in the friend zone, and she tells him he won't achieve anything. In the heat of the moment, Jaime punches Chris, and he is thrown out. After coming back to Los Angeles and turning down Samantha's persistent advances when she meets him again, Chris understands that Jaime is his one and only real love. He goes back to New Jersey, confesses his love to her, and they share a kiss, while the three kids who played hockey with them earlier look on with disapproval.